Okay, so the first thing up is Weekly Muse. And I didn't really think that we were going to do a Weekly Muse this week, but then something kept coming up every time I turned on any kind of gaming news whatsoever.
Well, you
And
gotta remember, weekly news means we have to do one every week, apparently.
we don't have to do one every week.
No,
If
we
we
don't.
have nothing that bemuses or inspires us, then we don't really need to talk about it.
If there's nothing amusing about it.
Yes, exactly. If there's nothing that requires our musings and the week, we do not need to do a weekly muse.
Fair
But
enough.
but this week we do. Because boy, Rockstar. What happened? So, in case anybody has been living under a pebble, we had this thing come out from Rockstar, which was the definitive edition of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, and it did not go well at all.
Did they preempt this at all, by the way? Or was it just suddenly, pebbles fall and here's a definitive edition?
Well, I mean, they had been talking about this for a little while. Get out of my way, bug. They've been talking about this for a little while, and way back in, like, April or something like that, the leadership over at Rockstar was like, well, we don't rush products out to market, folks. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, you might want to talk to Grove Street Games, which, by the way, is the company that they got to do the definitive editions and everything like that. So a few problems.
Only a few?
Yeah. So I guess we should start with the obvious thing, which is the graphical and technical issues. There are a lot of people that have been putting the side-by-side screenshots of the original games and the new ones, and the new ones somehow look worse, even though they're graphically, like, cleaner. Like, they don't have the pixelation, like, the resolution is higher, but whatever they did to the character models and the graphic parts, I don't know what they were thinking.
Is it an artifact of upscaling from PS2 era graphics to current?
No, if only, Alex, if only. No, it looks like they did remodels of these characters and everything, and I don't know why. Like, they gave Tommy Vercetti fingernails, but and he didn't have fingernails in the original. Apparently everyone was hoping that he had them. But now that they have them, they are so glaringly obvious in every single thing. They are like the only thing you see when you turn on the game. They have characters that used to look like regular characters. They were shown like Denise in San Andreas. She looked perfectly fine. Now she looks like, the rejected models from The Sims. I don't know why, but they changed the whole graphical style. There are characters that have, like, Ryder. They showed his arm looks like a gorilla arm now in the cutscenes. It's huge. They have characters. The level of non-detail that they tried to put into this, they showed what it looks like when they tried to reskin the backs of, like, jerseys, and you can tell that they just, like, painted over a 9 over a 7 because they decided they wanted the 9 on the jersey instead of the 7. You could see, like, the 7 behind the 9. They didn't even just reskin it with a new number on it. Some other weird things. Rain. When it rains in these games, the rain is so obvious you can't see what's going on. It's bright rain right in front of you. It doesn't wrap around like the objects in the game, so you can see the halos of the rain around everything. They eliminated the fog, which you would think, oh, cool, they eliminated the fog, but what happens now is that if you're flying away from the map, you now see all the map all the way to the borders of the map, all around it, because the fog was supposed to give you this sense of scale.
Yeah, fog is also used to hide boundaries.
Exactly. And apparently they didn't get that memo.
Yeah. There's this handy thing when you have fog in level design, where you can use fog to obscure things in the distance so that you do not need to load the entire map in at once.
Right, and that used to be a technical limitation in a lot of ways. They couldn't render the whole thing.
And it's not necessarily technical now, it's more visual. It's so the game can save on those resources. Like, if you
Right.
don't need to see something a mile away in game, because you wouldn't be able to see it because there's stuff in the way, then there's no reason to render that in.
Right. But yeah, no, the character models are pretty horrible. In fact, just for your reference, what I'll do is I will just drop an article that I just happen to be looking at.
Sure.
Uh,
I'll look at this because I have.
Yep.
What is wrong with his arms?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, I was not kidding here, Alex. This is not like a
I didn't know they had this kind of issue in the hoods in the 90s.
Yeah, well, gigantism in your arms. Yeah, no,
Rubbering.
Yeah,
is this one of the Incredibles?
It's one of the Incredibles, exactly. And you can see as they show the different character models, I have no idea what I don't know. There's some really weird things that they decided to do, and I don't know. I feel like they would have been much better if they just literally upscaled the resolution. If they just did an HD of this, that would have been terrific. But they didn't. They decided to try and, I guess, reskin it. And, if you're looking at, like, Vice City and it's at night and you see all the neon colors and everything, yeah, that looks pretty good. They tried to do reflective textures and stuff like that, but I don't know what they were thinking with that. And if that was the end of it, we'd probably go, oh, okay, they pulled a Cyberpunk or something like that.
I mean, this is a game that's been out since PS2.
Oh yeah,
especially like San Andreas.
Oh yeah,
which was really good at the time.
Oh yeah.
So for them to take a game that people remember fondly, like San Andreas, and really screw it up as a remaster, essentially, that's not good.
Especially when they can point to mods that the community made that are much better than what the officially licensed piece is. Yeah, the improved draw distance is, a lot of broken missions people are reporting, mini games. There are things that make it incredibly unplayable. The rain is one of those things. Audio, oh yes, should mention, this is the definitive edition. There are less songs in these games because of licensing issues than the original games.
Why would they not be able to use the same soundtrack?
They had problems apparently with some of the original licensed soundtracks, I guess, and they decided to not have them in there. So less songs.
More on repeat.
In the definitive edition, there's also some other things that are weird. Like you may have remembered, once upon a time there was the infamous hot coffee incident.
Yeah, the hot coffee incident. That's a legendary.
Yeah, the thing that was not in the game, but then if you mod because you go into the code, you can have the hot coffee mod, and it's spicy. Well, they had redone the game, and they had eliminated that code, so nobody could accidentally mod or glitch it so that you had the hot coffee mission. Somehow the code got back in the edition. I don't know how that happened, but there you go. And,
so we got hot coffee again?
No, I mean, it's not in the game, but it's in the code, so if the modders wanted to do it, they could mod it so that it's back in the game.
Nathan, the one thing that you screwed up with that sentence was if the modders wanted to do it. Yes, the modders want to do it. Have you met the modding community?
Yeah, exactly.
anything they can put in the game, they'll put in the game.
Exactly. It made it a lot easier. So who knows what they're planning on doing? Yeah.
Listen, San Andreas already allowed you to get a gimp suit.
Oh yeah.
And a giant purple dildo that you could use as a baseball bat.
Yes. To this day, I think it is probably one of the stupidest video game controversies of all time. That there was like a completely closed-on sex mini game that was somewhere buried in the code when you can literally fire rockets into public areas and you can fly around in an Apache helicopter and just mow people down.
But you could also pick up prostitutes.
Oh, yeah.
Freely.
Oh, all
and
the
then
time.
murder them for money.
Well, you run them back over with the car to get your money back.
However you
want
to kill them. Listen, it's a free money business.
Exactly. The point is that in a world like GTA that has no rules, it's amazing that was the thing people were upset about. And somehow it made it back in even after they had remade the discs so that it didn't have that. But it gets better.
Oh boy.
It gets better because I guess what happened is Rockstar decided that they are now Blizzard because they tried to do a Reforged and they took down the old games so that they can't be purchased so that you'd have to purchase the new.
There's a lot of not just Activision Blizzard too. There's a lot of game companies that do that when they're like, yeah, we're gonna re-release this. I know Bethesda, for instance, took down the original version of Skyrim to put the Skyrim Special Edition in the store for purchase. So we were talking briefly before. I've got the OG version of Skyrim from Steam.
Oh yeah.
And then they replaced that later with the Special Edition, and then other, I'm sure, other editions they have too.
Oh yeah.
So like I can't buy the version I have anymore.
Yeah, it's fun that way.
Yeah. To be fair, in some cases it makes sense to remove products that are inferior.
Oh yeah.
Or older or not compatible with newer systems. That makes sense maybe. Say if you want a game that's from the Xbox that can't be compatible with your Xbox One.
Oh, sure.
Or whatever. That makes sense. It's like, don't offer it if they can't play it.
Oh, right.
But don't pull a Warcraft 3 is now going to be a Warcraft 3 Reforged, and you can no longer play the original Warcraft 3, even though this game is now inferior to the earlier game and doesn't have the bugs fixed.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, the upshot of all of this
is we get hot coffee.
The hot coffee apparently gets back in there, but it has led to a collective Metacritic user score of 0.5.
0.5.
0.5 is
That's a very low Metacritic user score.
That is below a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a lot lower than a 1 out of 10.
It's a 1 out of 20. That's a 0.5 out of 10, I guess, is what you're looking at.
That's a 5 out of 1.
Yeah, and considering that this is like literally a collection of 3 whole games that at one point were lauded for their, open world and their creativity and everything is pretty fantastic and amazing. For some reason, on Game Pass, I apparently have access to the San Andreas Definitive Edition, so if I do play some of it, I will see if there's anything weird with it. I might have to come back and report.
On that note, I think I have a PS2 version of San Andreas laying around somewhere if anyone wants to buy it for lots of money.
Oh yeah, because it's apparently not going to be good if you try to buy it new.
We're just gonna title this segment Hot Coffee Redux.
Yes. According to the Gaming Bolt article, it does say that Grove Street Games seems to be enjoying the scrutiny, or so the developers say. Yeah, I'm sure. They love it.
Yeah, they're ecstatic to have their games ripped apart for being absolute terrible remakes.
Right, and the developer has promised that fixes will be coming soon. Whether an update will fix the game's current reception in the future remains to be seen. Yeah, Yeah. You know, I didn't really expect us to have to worry about live service models for, like, 12-year-old games, but here we are, apparently.
Here we are. Here we
yeah.
go.
So, I mean, I guess there's that. But for a $60 price tag, the price of a new game, it's pretty sad that they did a slapdash.
If you wanna think of it in the best of terms, it's $60 for 3 games. So you're only paying 20 for each game.
So you can be sad 3 times in a row.
Yes, you can be sad that you spent $60 for 3 games.
Yes.
That are just
terrible.
So it's 3 times as sad as instead of just the once.
Exactly. Giving you 3 times the sadness at one convenient price.
It's $60. That's the price for sadness.
Yes. The price of sadness. So yeah. So hey, available on Xbox, PS5, Switch, and PC, and hey, don't you feel great? Also, I guess one of the reasons why they wanted to pull it from, like, Steam and all those other marketplaces is because Rockstar has their own gaming site that they want to get people to download it from instead of all the other ones.
We're gonna have to do one of our segments about every game having its own launching service.
Oh yes, so many launchers, too many launchers.
Yeah,
is
let's do that.
Too many launchers. Because yeah, it's the console wars, but for the PC era, guys. It's great. So anyway, yeah, probably not going to be picking up. Maybe wait until they do something about it and see if it gets any better. But
just keep the original versions.
Keep the original versions, and boy, it's a deficit to work through. It's a bad place for them to be right now. All right,